Okay, what is the abomination of desolation? Well, we're going to read about that today in Matthew chapter 24 and verse number 15, right here in the middle of the first chapter, at least, of the Olivet Discourse, as Matthew records it. And Jesus tells that small band of disciples who had asked him a question about when the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem would occur and what will be the sign of his coming and the end of the age. He tells them in verse number 15, "Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation, which was spoken through Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place." And then parenthetically, Matthew adds, "Let the reader understand." Well, we're the readers, okay? So we want to understand this. And then he gives the instructions. When you see that abomination of desolation, hopefully you understand that, and we will talk about that, then those who are in Judea must flee to the mountains. Whoever is on the housetop must not go down to get the things that are in his house. Whoever is in the field must not turn back to get his cloak. But woe to those who are pregnant and to those who are nursing babes in those days. But pray that your flight will not be in the winter or on the Sabbath. Now, why is he telling those people at that time, when the abomination of desolation is seen, to flee? Verse number 21, "For then there will be a great tribulation." And so the reason is, preserve your life. Get away from the danger. If you're in Judea, Judea would be the province there where Jerusalem was located. Get to the mountains. Get to the uninhabited places where you'll be safe and you can hide out and maybe preserve your life, because there's going to be action against you. Who's he talking to? He's talking to his disciples, 4 of his closest disciples. And if it has application to them directly, or if it has a future application to those who would be followers of Christ, I think it makes more sense, because we don't have a record that Peter, James, Andrew, and John had to follow these instructions, in 70 AD when Jerusalem was besieged. Now, to complicate matters, and I'm going to come back to this and to the abomination of desolation, to complicate matters, we have over in Luke's gospel, Luke's rendition of this same exact Olivet Discourse, verse number 20 of Luke 21, "But when you see," listen closely, "Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then recognize that her desolation is at hand." Well, that was one of the subjects. That was one of the questions they had. When will these things occur? And Jesus told them, there's not going to be one stone left upon another in this temple. That's the destruction of the temple. Obviously, Jerusalem around it's probably going to be destroyed at that same time. And so he's talking now about the desolation of Jerusalem. When you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then you know her desolation is at hand, is near. And what are the instructions? The instructions are the same instructions that Jesus gave as recorded in Matthew's gospel when they see the abomination of desolation. What are they to do? I'll continue reading. Verse 21, "Then let those who are in Judea, those who are in Judea must flee to the mountains." Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Okay? "And those who are in the midst of the city must leave, and those who are in the country must not enter the city, because these are days of vengeance, so that all things which are written will be fulfilled." So here's a question to ask as we try to figure this out. Which one of those things did Jesus say? Did he say when you see the abomination of desolation, flee the hills? Or did he say when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, flee the hills? Well, I can only conclude that if both Matthew and Luke were inspired by the Holy Spirit, Jesus said them both. Did he say them both in one sentence, and perhaps Matthew only included part of what Jesus said in that sentence and Luke included the other part? I do not know. He may well have said them in 2 different sentences, and made reference to Jerusalem is going to be attacked, imminently, 40 years or so from when he said this, during the destruction in 70 AD, and you're going to have another situation where there's going to be an event in Jerusalem when you're going to want to flee, and it's going to be very similar to that, only this time the sign is not Jerusalem surrounded by armies. This time the sign will be, to get out of town, is when you see the abomination of desolation. And that's the one I lean towards. because of this application, in the Olivet Discourse, answering all the questions of the disciples, although it's just not clear when he's answering which question. That's where we have this kind of quandary, and that this is what people debate over. Are you still with me? Okay. And so it is a fact of history that Jerusalem was besieged by Titus, the Roman legions, around 70 AD. And my understanding is that during the initial siege, that Titus and his legions had to temporarily break camp and go to some other battlefront because of some ensuing problem there. And then ultimately they returned some weeks or maybe months later to continue their siege against Jerusalem. And in that interim period, anybody who believed in Jesus and who had heard what Jesus said as recorded in Luke's rendition of the Olivet Discourse fled from the city. And then during that second siege, that's the one that ended in this great Holocaust of the Jewish population within Jerusalem. And Josephus, the Jewish historian, tells us in his book, The Antiquities of the Jews, it was indeed a horrible Holocaust. The siege lasted for a long time, and there were casualties on both sides. People tried to escape, and they were slaughtered. When they ultimately did break through the wall, then they captured Jews by the tens of thousands and crucified them outside Jerusalem and in Jerusalem and nailed 2 or 3 people onto one cross on top of one another. They were infuriated with the Jews who had held out for so long. Okay, now next time we're going to talk more about the abomination of desolation, however, that sign, which, wow, this is really interesting. We're going to have to go into the prophecy of Daniel, hundreds of years before Jesus said these things, and we'll find those identical words, this abomination of desolation, and we'll get some insight as to what it was. And it too raises some questions, but it's going to be cool to think about it, okay? I'll see you next time.
HeavenWord 7 is made possible by the financial support of viewers like you. Thank you.